Today's college students want professors and administrators to make them feel safe and protest if they don't. This phone video shows a Yale student publicly cussing and denouncing her dormitory director. His crime, encouraging students to make their own decisions about what Halloween outfits to wear. The student wanted the university to make the rules about offensive costumes.
You should step down! It is not about creating an intellectual space! It is not! Do you understand that? It's about creating a home here!
At Yale, the University of Missouri, and elsewhere, students are increasingly concerned about what they consider to be offensive speech. They're calling for more rules to limit what students can say.
There are certain things that are right and wrong, certain things that shouldn't be said about other people depending on what their, minority, racial background, income status is.
In the last 20 years, such sentiment has led more than 400 universities to adopt speech codes. The problem, they consistently violate the First Amendment, shutting down so-called offensive speech or writing in the name of respect. Other rules create free speech zones and what are called safe spaces.
Of course, we want to protect somebody from being actually harassed or intimidated, but merely expressing a view that makes other people uncomfortable is what a university is for.
Censorship is like a cancer that eventually spreads out of control, and eventually everyone has something to worry about.
Here at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, what is called the Respect Compact actually restricts student speech. This speech code, like many others, calls for a free exchange of thoughts and opinions within a climate of civility and respect. But Professor Mike Adams notes that it gives the university incredible power and the ability to punish anyone it considers disrespectful.
Offensive, disrespectful speech is the only thing that's ever really been protected by the First Amendment, because that's the kind of thing that people might want to go after.
I definitely think it makes students hesitate, and I sometimes hesitate to kind of voice my opposing opinion because I don't want to really upset the rest of the class or even the professor.
It become ingrained in the culture, and then students, sort of wake up one day and say, well, you know what, I do have a right to be safe. I do have a right to be free from speech that might make me feel uncomfortable or disrespected. And then boom, at that point, what do you have? You've got Yale and you've got Mizzou.
FIRE is an organization that tracks speech on campus. Right now, it's following more than 200 universities that have substantially restrictive policies. The typical approach, codes that define harassment broadly, despite a narrow definition from the Supreme Court.
Harassment is severe, pervasive, and so objectively offensive that it effectively denies a student the right to an education. But you see universities adopting harassment codes that merely say that something is harassment if it offends someone. At Drexel University, they had a speech code that said that it is a violation of campus policy to have inappropriately directed laughter.
What's known as the Chicago Statement is beginning to change the trend. It was created here at the University of Chicago, and it holds a high view of the freedom of speech, saying that civility and respect should not curtail the open discussion of ideas. Professor Jeffrey Stone helped to write this statement earlier this year, and 6 universities have already followed suit. He enjoys support from faculty and administrators, although some students oppose what he's doing.
I think they have been raised to be protected and to be shielded from risk, and that they're therefore much more entitled in terms of feeling that they shouldn't be put into positions that make them uncomfortable.
The diversity movement has also contributed, he says, by encouraging youth to express their concerns. It's a profound change for students to be the ones to argue for limited speech. Historically, it's been administrators or off-campus forces.
The terrifying thing to me is that the current wave of censorship is coming from the students, not from the faculty.
We've always been on the side of the students, and the students have always been supportive in this fight for free speech. But now you have these disinvitations, you have this movement for safe spaces on campus.
This student movement has huge ramifications for the future of universities as we have known them. as well as for those who dare to disagree.
The risk of standing up and saying, no, we have to believe in free speech, the proper response here is not censorship, is that you get labeled a sexist or a racist. And it very quickly winds up on social media. And you can't get rid of that forever.
Christian College President Everett Piper recently stood up, blogging that Oklahoma Wesleyan is not a daycare.
I think I started a bit of a grass fire by simply telling a college community that I want you to learn. I don't want you to feel safe, per se.
This battle between learning and safety may be just beginning. At its core, not just campus policies, but the hearts and minds of a new generation. Heather Sells, CBN News.